Healing from ancestral trauma requires a radical slow down. This is the first step, and your job is to do nothing. Now, I know that sounds counterintuitive because these unhealed parts of yourself that have always been leading you through life with these subconscious programs, these trauma responses, these survival mechanisms, they don't want to stop. They have a firm grip on your conscious mind, and it's going to feel really counterintuitive to slow down. But this is what is needed because we have to start noticing our thoughts, our beliefs, our emotions, and our reactions. And it is impossible to maintain the status quo or to maintain the life that we were living before and keep continuing on in our false self with our false friends, playing the game of the life that we were playing, and also go deeper and begin to understand what's happening underneath the surface. It just doesn't work. They are completely opposed to each other. So, in order to begin the healing process, first we have to surrender to it, right? Because we cannot go on anymore. We know on some level of our being that it's not working, that we're just repeating the same toxic, painful karmic cycles over and over. And our soul consciousness begins to come forward as we awaken, and we're like, okay, this isn't working. Something has to happen here. I need to surrender. I need to go deeper and heal because I can't run anymore. And I've tried everything and it's just not getting any better. So first is the surrender. And this requires the slow down, right? This is when we let go of the jobs, the relationships, the living situations, all the things that are keeping us distracted from going deeper into this ancestral healing. Now, this sounds a little bit scary, but it's really not. It's actually a relief because we get to stop pretending like it's working. We get to stop clawing our way through life, stop trying to patch it up when it never really gets patched up. So it's actually a relief to just kind of give it all up and say, you know what, it's not working, and let it fall away. So this stillness that is required is so beautiful because it opens up space for us. And this is when we can really begin to start noticing what's happening. What was I actually thinking and feeling when I walked into the coffee shop this morning and had that weirdo interaction with the guy in line behind me? Like, what happened there? You're going to start to notice how these unhealed parts, how these trauma responses are actually with you pretty much 24/7. And this is what we need. We need to deconstruct the psyche. We need to allow everything to be dismantled. Listen, if you've been struggling with complex trauma, you understand that it is complex, right? It is heavily layered. So just, looking at it on the surface isn't going to get us there. We really have to go a lot deeper. And at the very beginning of your healing journey, you are not going to be able to see very far into it. The only thing that you're going to see is that nothing is working and I have to change, right? Like something's got to give, and maybe I need to go on this deeper healing journey. And then to slow down and allow things to start to dissipate so that you can look underneath the hood of your own psyche and emotional body and begin to truly understand what's been driving you through life. This is an intuitive process. All of the healing process is intuitive and guided by your soul, but the ego fights the whole way, right? And I know you may be thinking, I don't have money to slow down. I have to keep working. I have bills to pay. I have children to take care of. There is a way, okay? Ask for help. Shuffle your finances around. You can pull this together because you need to, right? This is the only way to truly make things better in your life sustainably, is to go through this healing process, because otherwise you're just spinning your wheels. And it does get harder. It does get harder because we contract even tighter and tighter into these negative timelines of trauma that are restrictive and based on lack and scarcity and unworthiness and limitation and shame and fear and all of these low frequency emotions. So it does get harder. The most intelligent and the wisest thing that you can do is to slow down and begin noticing, what am I thinking? What am I feeling? Just be with yourself. You can rest. You can sleep. I encourage a lot of sleep here, especially in the beginning. You can rest, you can sleep, you can be in stillness. I want to share with you, before we go any further, a little bit about my journey, because I fought it tooth and nail all the way up until I was forced into that surrender. And when I was forced into that surrender and I was forced into a radical slowdown, I was like, oh my God, what is happening to my life? I cannot even go to work anymore. I cannot even do the things. All of my coping mechanisms stopped working. My survival stuff just went out the window. And I finally surrendered and was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm either going to die or I'm going to do this. And that was a very real choice for me at the time, because that's how it felt. And I really had run out of options. And so everything went away, and I sort of packed my car up. I gave up my apartment, my job, all the things, and I left where I was living, and I went on this big journey and started traveling around and camping and spending a lot of time in silence, in nature, a lot of time on the beach, laying on my back, looking up at the sky. I just created this big space, or rather I was forced to create this big space. And that's when I started noticing what was actually going on. Instead of being wrapped up in all of these unhealed parts of myself that had survival mechanisms and ways of being and coping and all of these different versions of my false self, I just let it all go away. In the stillness, I started to feel my core, my essence, what was really happening underneath those layers. So I started to notice my thoughts and feelings and emotions, and started to notice my reactions, and all of these subconscious beliefs and programs that were running with me underneath the surface started to become clear. This is the beginning of the healing journey. And it is deep and it is complex and it is layered, and we will talk more about that. But I just want to give this to you right now, that if you're on the edge and you're like, I can't go forward, things are just hard or they're getting worse and I can no longer maintain this life and I have run out of options, it's time to surrender and it's time to slow the fuck down. Just slow down. Just let it fall away, because your entire life, all the relationships, the jobs, the endeavors, more or less, have been built on a foundation of trauma. So we have to let that old foundation crumble and go away. And don't worry about how you're going to do it. I didn't know how. I didn't have money. I scraped things together. Weird synchronicities happened for me to continue on the healing journey. I didn't have, a big bank account or support or a whole lineup of therapists. I just surrendered, and my soul walked me through that journey, through all of the seasons of it. And it was a wild journey. And it was beautiful, and it was difficult, and it was all of the things. And I wouldn't change it for the world, because on the other side, I'm a completely different person and my life is completely different. And this is what I want for you. But you have to surrender and you have to allow the slowdown, because otherwise these unhealed parts, they're still going. They're just on play. They're on autopilot. And until you find stillness and allow yourself to stop doing all the things you've been doing, to keep going, you're not going to be able to tap into what is deeper and actually see these programs for what they really are, because they are programs. They are not you. They are trauma responses. They are programs. They are coping mechanisms. Call it what you like, but they are not the real you. And slowing down and letting the old life fall away is what allows more of your soul consciousness to come forward and guide you through this beautiful healing process. Okay. Thank you for listening. I hope that that landed with you. I love you a whole lot. I will see you in the next one. Bye.